This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The top stories on our desk this evening: Lusaka Magistrate Court forced to adjourn cases due to lack of transport. Zambia's unemployment levels are ticking time bomb. Harry KALABA commences process to register his political party. In international news, Nigerians struggle with basic needs. And in sports, U.S. basketball star BRITTNey GRINER jailed for 9 years by Russian court.
For immediate coverage of any breaking news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Once again, thank you for choosing us. The news in detail. Some Lusaka youths in Mississippi compound have called for more interventions by government that will steer employment creation for the youths. Speaking to Camnet News, Clement Mainda says youths have opted to engage in criminal activities as a means of survival. Meanwhile, the support for vulnerable communities and active leadership, SOVUCO Executive Director Eugene Machona has advised government to have a firm blueprint on how it intends to address high unemployment levels amongst the youths in the country. Details in this report.
According to Sustainable Development Goal number 8, Zambia seeks to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth with decent employment for all by 2030, a goal which risks being actualized due to many hindering factors, one of them being the high unemployment levels amongst the youths, who occupy about 65% of the total population. And speaking to Camnet TV, 5th of August 2022, some youths in Lusaka's Mississippi compound have called for more interventions by government in addressing unemployment levels amongst the youths in this area. Clement Mainda says many youths in Mississippi compound have opted to be junkies who rob people in this area as a means of survival due to lack of employment.
Abantu tababomba ngabaya kuma industries abantu kulya bali furu mageti mupitane kuma industries mukambe mairo kupitana kuma industries bali so abalefu okubomba bafwe balupwa lwabo muno mumushina bona abaleko okuyako kuma industries panta balengire njito ushenjito ekyo kino okuyingisha mwingishisha kuisa eko tulefu atuishibe pantu pali abana abakashana abalumendo abapwisha amasukuru nomba tabeshibe ko mwingishe njito tuishibe ko mwingisha amashito ngamatulanga bonse tulefanga kutwikata twikateni bonse mutulenge mulikasalanga mutwale ko mulengisha amashito tesitulube kungandeko twikala.
Others have lamented that government should be quick to engage youths whenever there is a job opportunity.
Mundu aliyenze nchito angere nchito so ati ukawalala uchepeko bambiri wanasiza maskulu but bamangache makawalala bamangache majanki kongena nchito kulibe basovera che wanasiza maybe banapita 10 years 7 years but nchito saipeza
ambazo
no so funika nchito bapangeko nchito zambiri so ati bantu bakazingena then na corruption isireko bambiri bamangenesa che bali kusogola bamangenesa bana wao manefi.
Meanwhile, an organization, Support for Vulnerable Communities and Active Leadership, SOVUCO, through its executive director, Eugene Machona, has charged that government should provide a clear blueprint in how they intend to address the high unemployment levels in the country. He says if the current status of unemployment persists, Zambia risks actualizing Sustainable Development Goal number 8.
To be able to address, so we need to understand how do they come up with all those things. But to start with, we don't see them actualizing or achieving these SDGs that they put for themselves. We don't see them being actualized. Already we are into 2022. few years from now, in 2030, there are things that we haven't achieved that were also set as goal number whatever, SG number whatever. We haven't seen some of them being actionized. So even when we say SG to do with employment by 2030, we need to address all these things. We don't see these things being actionized or being addressed comprehensively unless we put measures that will begin addressing these things comprehensively. Talk about employment. Like what we said already, there are a lot of other things that need to be done. We have got a rich, vast institutions in governments that can begin swallowing up all these youths that are not employed.
According to the Trading Economics Global Macro Models and Analysts, unemployment rate in Zambia is expected to reach 12.60% by the end of 2022, a slight drop from the 2021 report, which stood at 13.03%. Messi Chonika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Koloma Ward 1 Area Councillor in Lusaka's Kuku compound, Davis Chembo, has called for the introduction of a curfew in communities known for criminal activities by community gangs. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chembo also says having soldiers to conduct patrols in such communities can help reduce the criminal activities being experienced. Details in this.
Criminal gangs, locally referred to as junkies, have continued terrorizing residents of various communities in Zambia due to alleged inadequate police patrols in these communities. A case in point is that of Kuku compound in Chawama constituency, where over 20 households had their windows broken and property looted by one of the gangs in broad daylight on Tuesday, as one way of mourning one of their gang members who was allegedly killed in the same community. Koloma Ward 1 Councillor Davis Chembo, who is councillor of the affected area, says having soldiers to patrol the area and introducing a curfew in such cases could help to curb the criminal activities. He was speaking to Camnet News in an interview.
If we have soldiers on the ground, when it comes at 18 hours, it will be very, very okay, because soldiers are no-nonsense people. They do accordingly because they just give orders. It is too much in our community.
Meanwhile, residents of the said area, popularly known as ZAMBIA'S, say the terror they have been experiencing since Tuesday has not come to an end.
Manyumba yali yatu yozimangira. So chamene cho changa chotivuta kumtima maesi chinzi wakatiza chitabwanji kaya. Mwaona ka. Titandika kwa manda chivuka kulibe muona bonse batantula kulibe bantu kulodi kuti 19 hours mwangena kudala kuyamba otawaka mbaka kuti bana bangone batiuza ati sumuza gulisa lero muchokepo hapo.
Tinaesa hapo report banapita chena road baenda huko babwereramwa tinaesa batema mya ati kasokashe kubali osumuza ngala hapo timmenya ali ense tukatokashe kushika mzao na sumuza ngapo mtendere Ntemba banani pwanira madishi vonse mawindo bapwanya kuno so bakambati tufuna tubwesha event tupae muntu mozi je pamende wezasi noma tunapaya kwa muntu ise tunapaye po muntu ise muntu avutika.
They have called for order to be quickly restored, adding that the status quo has made the community gangs feel untouchable. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some Lusaka residents have labeled the Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority ZECTA as an ineffective institution that has failed to live up to its expectation. The residents spoken to by Camnet News wonder why criminal cases that require the input of ZECTA go unresolved. They feel the authority lacks capacity to superintend over cybercrime-related issues, citing mobile money fraudsters as a continued case ZECTA has failed to resolve. Meanwhile, ZECTA Head of Corporate Affairs and Communications, Hanford Chaba, says the mandate of the authority has been misunderstood by many stakeholders, to them being arrested.
Technological advancement has taken the world by storm, with its easier, fast and more effective communication benefits among others, such as development of new and innovative approaches. However, it is against this background that online fraud and cybercrime cases are on the rise, a situation which has led Lusaka residents to call upon the Zambia Information and Communications Authority, ZICTA, to intensify its mandate.
ZICTA sizanga tukasebenza mushe tufawa abantu aba babazinga malambazi gamosi na mosi kutumira mafoni o wina friji wena kwaso wina ndama o tupase pini yako inoma uzinga foni kutubize ndarama chifani madabo tubazikta ushira basebenza cyane tufawaje abantu malambazi basebenza bazinga malambazi gamosi na yamozi kutumira isite bantu nombo tunyoza futa matukano tukwana tukaweka vitu vyo pa tukwana futa manje waye bakanga trace abajabantu basta batanuza ndrama zambiri maningi no tukafika waziwa ZICTA jali chitoya wazikta sinchitoya cyane yatu no
bazikta palibe vye bachita kozi cha kesi ya Pamela uja mgeuzi uja mabuthu uja mgeuzi na manje zikani nazima bazikta bakuja chendrama bakabachoseko che ZICTA sebenza kuma vyalo vinango not kuzambia kuno kuzambia kulibe bachita kuno nga chendrama ya government people spares money ndiye baono
ngala kuli bazikta balibe problem. They are trying all means, but the problem is technology angaramunga advanced manje ukawala rachabendiwa mino wapaka so you can't blame bazikta tatia they are not doing their job. No, technology ndiye angara advanced, so no wonder why bazikta never free kufaka konzero na technology.
And ZICTA's head of corporate affairs and communication, Hanford Chaba, underscores the authorities' need to heighten the loopholes at the institution.
This year alone, we had about 1,500 and over 90 cases, of people that have been duped. And the reason is because sometimes it's because of our consumer behavior. Consumers don't take time to interrogate the message that they receive, the information that they post. We post anyhow on social media. Sometimes you find a person is moving from Lusaka to Ndola. The moment they leave home, they post, now leaving home, now in intercity, now in Kabwe. And you know, scammers are also taking advantage because they are ever online. So what we encourage consumers is, whatever you post online should be something that does not in any way reveal your identity. So any information that is there to identify you as a consumer should be concealed. I'm talking about information like your NRC, like your phone number, like your name.
Mr. Chaba adds that ZICTA is only charged to investigate and help in tracking online offenders, unlike prosecuting.
ZICTA, our role is to ensure that we provide an enabling environment for ICT growth. Ours is to ensure that we enhance cyber security in the cyberspace. But when it comes to issues that border on, crime, we don't have the mandate to arrest as ZICTA. So all we do is we offer technical support to Zambia Police.
Technological advancement has a range of advantages and disadvantages. Therefore, it remains imperative for users to assess the risk and make informed decisions about whether to use the latest technology, bearing in mind that ZICTA swings into action at all cost. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
New Heritage Party leader Chishala Kateka has charged that the turnout of people at the Zambia Statistics Agency aptitude test centers for the census jobs countrywide is a wake-up call for government. Ms. Kateka says the numbers of people that turned out, especially the youths, for these temporary jobs is a matter that calls for urgent intervention, describing it as a ticking time bomb. The opposition leader notes that youth unemployment issues are, however, not a one-man show, but a collective resolve to yield better results. She says while New Heritage Party lauds government for creating formal employment in the health and education sectors, it is a drop in the ocean looking at the number of people that are currently jobless. Ms. Kateka has in this regard proposed that government puts in place a team comprising people with potential solutions to youth unemployment among other members of the public to bring forth suggestions that can help out. In In other news, 2026 presidential hopeful Harry KALABA has formally handed in the papers that will see the birth of his political party to the Registrar of Societies. Speaking to Camnet News after handing in the papers on Friday morning, Mr. KALABA has expressed confidence that his party, whose name is yet to be revealed, will scoop the 2026 presidential election, stating that he is a well-established political figure with countrywide support. Mr. KALABA recently announced his resignation from the Democratic Party, citing lengthy court procedures in the case where he and the Judith Kabemba-led group were claiming party leadership.
The number of political parties is ever increasing in Zambia, as the country is a declared multi-party democracy since 1991. Latest is the registration of a political party formed by 2026 presidential hopeful Harry KALABA, who recently announced his resignation from the Democratic Party DP on 24th July 2022 on grounds that the case in which he and the Judith Kabemba-led group were claiming party leadership was taking too long to be concluded. Mr. KALABA was speaking to Camnet News shortly after handing over the papers of his party to the Registrar of Societies in Lusaka.
We have finished the process of securing the name of our party. We have finished the process of a police clearance. We got the symbol from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and now it's to give the registrar to finish the process of issuing us with the certificate. We begin running and going. Our politics in this country are not anchored really on political parties per se. I think as interim leader of our new political party, I want to believe that the face is not old. It's not new. This is a face which is already known, and so we'll be going back to the people. And we've got people everywhere ourselves, everywhere. The people just waiting for us to tell them this is where we're going. So we are not even new, in essence. We are just starting from where we ended, and we are proceeding, taking Zambia where it should be. We'll call for another ceremony to tell you the name of the party and the symbol and the colors, so that you know that so this is the party. But I can tell you that beautiful. It's a beautiful beginning.
He states that key among the ideologies of his party will be industrialization, as well as youth and women empowerment.
Our party is anchored on industrialization. It is industrialization because Zambia is only going to get out of the current quagmire when we industrialize this country. I think we have a lot of resources, abundant resources, which we are not using to our advantage. We have allowed outsiders to benefit from our resources. And when you have an inept leadership at the top, all that you have gets taken away without us benefiting from anything. So our party is focusing on Zambians. And that's why our party is saying Zambians first.
The 2026 presidential hopeful has also laughed off critics, stating that his party will fail due to the huge amount of finances needed to kickstart a new political party, stating that everything has already been planned. He adds that his party will be blended, consisting of both old and new politicians, stating that there is need to tap into the knowledge of those who have been on the political scene for a long time. For now, the country will have to wait for 2026, which is 4 years from now, as it is predicted to be a tough fight, with the former ruling Patriotic Front PF also rebranding for the purposes of winning the same election. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Secretary to the Treasury, Fredson Nyamba, has petitioned the Lusaka High Court seeking an order that charges of willful failure to comply with the law he is facing before the Lusaka Magistrate Court be squashed on grounds that they do not disclose the law he allegedly violated. In his petition, Mr. Nyamba has cited the Principal Resident Magistrate, Jennifer Walia, and Attorney General as a respondent, respectively. Recently, Magistrate Walia dismissed Mr. Nyamba's application to refer the alleged criminal case he is jointly charged with former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malanji be referred to the High Court for the determination on whether the charges of willful failure to comply with the law relating to management of public property violates his right to a fair trial as guaranteed by Article 18 of the Constitution. Miriam Kaimba was at court and brought us this report.
With a ruling by the Lusaka's Magistrate Court to decline his application to refer his case to the High Court for constitutional determination, former Secretary to the Treasury Fredson Nyamba has filed a petition in relation to the same before the Lusaka High Court. On the 23rd of May 2022, Lusaka Principal Resident Magistrate Jennifer Walia dismissed Mr. Yamba's application to refer the case to the High Court to determine on whether the two charges of willful failure to comply with the law relating to management of public property that he is currently facing before court violate his right to a fair trial as guaranteed by Article 18 of the Constitution. The lower court declined his application, stating that it was frivolous and an attempt to delay the case before it, which is being tried under the created Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court. In his application, he wanted the lower court to refer the matter to the High Court for a determination on whether the two charges violate his right to a hearing, as they do not disclose the specific law he failed to comply with, arguing that Article 18 of the Constitution guarantees his right to a fair hearing and his right to be informed in detail about the offense he was facing. Mr. Yamba was currently facing a criminal charge before the subordinate court. He is accused of not adhering to guidelines relating to the management of the National Treasury when he approved the transfer of over 100 million kwacha to purchase a chancery for the Zambian mission in Turkey. He is jointly charged with former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malanji, who is facing more than 3 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Now, in his petition before the Lusaka High Court, Mr. Yamba cited the Principal Resident Magistrate Jennifer Walia and the Attorney General has responded respectively. He wants a determination and for the High Court to declare that the decision by Magistrate Walia to dismiss his application to have the charges quashed or amended is a violation of his right to a fair trial. Further, that subjecting him to a trial on charges which does not disclose the law allegedly violated will prejudice him in his trial. In conclusion, the former Secretary to the Treasury wants an order that the charges he is facing before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court be quashed. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Still in court, the Lusaka Magistrate Court was Friday morning forced to adjourn most of the cases that some prisoners are facing before the court due to lack of transport. This came to light after court adjourned a case of a 49-year-old man who allegedly defiled his biological daughter. Miriam Kaimba once again filed this report.
Lusaka Friday morning was forced to adjourn most of the cases that are facing due to transport challenges. Only those on police bond and bail had their cases attended to. The information came to light after the case of a 49-year-old man of Lusaka's Linda compound who allegedly defiled his biological daughter failed to appear before court. The court was informed that the accused person, Roderick Nyambe, who was scheduled to open his defense this morning, just like other accused persons, was not taken to court as the vehicle that is meant to transport inmates has a fault. According to information obtained from sources, since Tuesday, inmates have not been taken to court. It is said that the vehicle they use locally known as Kasalanga needs servicing. Just like many other inmates, Mr. Nyambe will have to wait for another court-set date to open his defense. The 49-year-old is facing 1 count of incest, contrary to the laws of Zambia. According to the allegations before court, Mr. Nyambe is alleged to have committed the offense between the 1st of January 2013 and December 2021. The accused, who is a farmer, is alleged to have started defiling his own daughter when she was only 8 years old. Evidence before court states that the first incident occurred when the accused told his wife, who is currently on the run, to go and sell beer and only returned home around 02 hours. While his wife was away, the 49-year-old allegedly took advantage of his little girl, sneaked into her bedroom, and had carnal knowledge with her. The victim, who is now 17 years old, was later advised by her stepbrother to report the alleged case to the police after he got hold of the information. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government is concerned with the low absorption of the rate of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which currently stands at 4.2%. Minister of Finance, Permanent Secretary, Development Cooperation, Monitoring and Evaluation, Dennis Chisenda says a total of 2.01 billion kwacha has so far been released under CDF, but has only 84.55 million kwacha has been utilized thus far. Mr. Chisenda says the ministry is currently working with all relevant institutions to resolve the bottlenecks that are hampering the utilization of the funds. Meanwhile, Minister of Finance Dr. Stumbekom Sokotwane says youth unemployment is being taken very seriously and that government is working aggressively to address the matter.
Government has increased the Constituency Development Fund CDF from 1.6 million kwacha to 25.7 million kwacha in the 2022 national budget. The impact of the increased CDF is not being felt as most projects across the country have stalled, while monies for the empowerment are nowhere to be seen. Ministry of Finance has, however, expressed concerns at the low absorption of the CDF funds, which currently stands at 4.2%. Ministry Permanent Secretary for Development Cooperation, Monitoring and Evaluation Dennis Chisenga, who spoke at the symposium on the presentation of the mid-year budget and economic performance in Lusaka Friday, says the Treasury has so far released a total of 2.01 billion kwacha under CDF, but that only 84.55 million kwacha has so far been utilized.
This amounted to 2.1 billion. From the amount disbursed, 84.5 million has been spent as of 30th June, representing 4.2%. Obviously, as you can see, there is a problem of the absorption of these resources, but there are a number of the challenges which are currently being addressed, and these are bottlenecks, I think, which are currently being tackled.
Meanwhile, Mr. Chisenga says government has in the first half of 2022 managed to collect more revenues and grants by 2.8 billion kwacha.
Budget credibility is also being restored in terms of budget releases and funding, compared in the past where to have the budget, but in terms of funding, we will not fund 100%. In the first half of this year, all resources have been funded as per program. In some instances, resources have been front-loaded. This is a positive development.
And speaking at the same event, Ministry of Finance and National Planning Dr. Stumbekom Sokotwane says government is taking youth unemployment in the country very seriously and working to ensure that it removes bottlenecks that hamper businesses from thriving.
I want to state that the issue, or rather repeat that the issue of the youth unemployment, we take it very seriously. And certainly this government, we would not take pride in seeing any of our Zambian citizens being among those trying to cross or swim across the Mediterranean Ocean or Mediterranean Sea to seek employment somewhere else. So in the next few years, we'll be moving aggressively to create conditions for employment to be generated here at home.
And while concerns have been raised that fertilizer prices in the country will skyrocket owing to the war between Russia and Ukraine, the finance minister has assured that the assumptions will not be true, as government will soon start procuring fertilizers on the local market, which will lower the cost of production. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, government has revealed its plans to spend 158.8 billion kwacha on the payment of salaries for civil servants in the medium term. Ministry of Finance Permanent Secretary, Economic Management and Finance, Mukoli Chikova, says from the said amount, 46.3 billion kwacha of GDP will be spent in 2023, while 53.1 billion kwacha in 2024 and 59.4 billion kwacha of GDP in 2025. Mr. Chikova says government will maintain the expenditure on personal emoluments as a share of domestic revenues around 39.9% in the medium term. And Permanent Secretary says 228.1 billion kwacha will be spent over a medium term for repayment of domestic and external debt as well as amortization.
We will maintain wages at 39.9% of revenues over the medium term. In terms of actual allocations in 2023, 8.7% of GDP, in 2024, 8.9% of GDP, and in 2025, 8.9% of GDP. Within these numbers, we have the recruitments that we'll be doing within the medium term, so you see that we'll be stable in terms of wage management. Use of goods and services has been budgeted at 56.8 billion. That's running of government operations and the like. The next slide. On the next slide, we are just showing again that in terms of debt service payments, there's 229.5 billion that has been budgeted for over the medium term, but this number again has not been adjusted for debt restructuring. So once we have the agreements with the different creditors, this number will be adjusted appropriately. What we are assuming now is that we are paying debts as they are projected to be.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. The Federation of Small-Scale Mining Association of Zambia is optimistic that the United Party for National Development Administration will quickly organize small-scale mining in the country. Recently, during his visit to Tanzania, President Hakainde Hichilema underscored the need to organize the sector to avoid breeding insurgency through illegal mining activities. And Association President Joseph Mwansa says the political will that has been demonstrated by the head of state must translate into tangible results.
Small-scale mineral deposits in Zambia include gold, coal, manganese, and zinc deposits. Gemstones and emeralds are also mined in the country. A key point to note, however, has been the high number of non-operational small-scale mining licenses and illegal mining. And Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, during his visit to Tanzania, indicated that Zambia wants to emulate that country by getting the small-scale mining sector organized.
So the licensing part, but also the order, because if you don't organize mining in that level and it's chaotic, it can breed extremism as well. It can finance things that you don't want to finance, to be honest. And so my team will be sitting down. In fact, my Minister of Mines was here. I reminded the President, maybe he didn't announce his presence properly. He could have sneaked in here, but he was here to understand really how you have organized the mining sector, small-scale miners. And I'm told there are millions of Tanzanians who are involved in the artisanal mining, but providing them with the technical skills, providing them with the financial support, providing them with, more importantly, the off-take market.
This has excited the president for the Federation of Small-Scale Mining Association of Zambia, Joseph Mwansa.
And talking about artisanal miners, it's something that has brought joy in our industry or our sector. I was encouraged when I watched him talking about our sector when he was in Tanzania.
And Mr. Mwansa is confident that the political will that has been demonstrated by President Hichilema to organize small-scale mining in the country will come to fruition.
I'm much sure that each and every person who watched him on television were so encouraged to see our president thinking of how he can help small-scale miners who I believe can contribute a lot in terms of forex and also in terms of our economy. This has brought joy in our sector, and it's an encouragement to see the president being front and initiating some great ideas which would even revive the economy of the nation. I would like to believe that in a few years to come, if the new Dawn government will continue what they have started concerning the sector, I think we'll see a very great tangible results in our nation.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Buses and Taxi Drivers Association is calling for the removal of illegal bus stations such as Steniba bus station along Freedom Way. He says the illegal bus stations are being operated by cartels. Mr. Sidney Mbewe says most of the buses that operate from there are illegal and should not be tolerated. Cherise brought us this.
The United Party for National Development, UPND administration, has been making frantic efforts to bring sanity in the transport sector, although some elements of cadreism still exist. Zambian Republican President Hakainde Hichilema recently said he wants to transform Zambia into a 24-hour economy.
We would like to open this economy 24/7. Factories must run shifts. It's the only way we can create more jobs. But when somebody is knocking up at 20 hours, we also don't want that citizen to be mugged along the way. Crime. Calling us suicides.
That would see, among other things, the Lusaka City Council and the public transport sector working 24 hours and provide answers to the existing questions such as who operates illegal bus stations when council officials knock off. The Stanley bus station is among the illegal bus stations located in Lusaka's Freedom Way that has been operating for years now. And because of its position in the CBD, it causes congestion and affects other road users. It is for this reason the Bus Drivers and Taxi Drivers Association Secretary General Sidney Mbewe is calling on the relevant authorities to curtail illegalities in the transport sector.
This is a cartel of people that position themselves to say we are political cadres or we work for this party, when it is not the position of the political party to put cadres on the roads to collect the money in their name. The illegal bus stations and the pirate taxis have cut the commuter corridors into the bus stations, creating a low demand for the bus station. So hence, you find that a bus that goes into a bus station in around 9 can only load the trip around this time. So what is killing it? What's killing it is the illegal bus stations that are outside, that are not even paying to government, and also the illegal operations of these low capacity vehicles that are not paying to government.
But bus drivers at the Stanley bus station have refuted claims that the station is being run by political cadres, saying it is their fellow drivers who call the shots when the council officials are sleeping.
Ndrama ya olongera imalipiriwa, iyo ni ndrama ya madrivers. Wanapasa na madezi, wana mamotoka waja, ngati ndea kuyafika ndio olemba nchi ndio olemba.
Onapo mulibe makada mlodi abantu bantu batu yani ni madrivers walimu ntekateka utandiza notati mulikada mulibe kada yayi.
Whilst others have stated that the existing bus stations in Lusaka cannot accommodate everyone.
Inachepa futi muone city market inachepa bakipangire kokoko bati kwina yango chekwa medzambo sevenzera unlike tomorrow change station zambo panga congestion ku parking out tingene station.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Zambia Road Safety Trust says the country may not reach its 2030 goal of reducing road traffic accidents by 50% if roads without proper signage are left in the state. In an interview, Trust Communications Advisor Miles Mwale explains that it is disappointing to note that traffic lights on some roads, especially in the case of Lusaka, which were installed over 2 years ago, are still non-operational. He has cited vices such as overspeeding to be one of the major causes of road traffic accidents, stating that proper road signage could help in reducing these incidences significantly. Statistics from the Zambia Police on the just-ended farmers' holiday shows that road traffic accidents in the country stood at 280 in comparison to 260 during the same period in 2021.
Zambia Road Safety Trust, we also notice with concern like how the project handover were done, especially for some roads that were done previously. Just to mention a few, there's the expansion of Chirumburu Road, Bama Road, and many other roads. And we noticed that some traffic lights were actually installed. But to our surprise, we found that from the time that the roads were actually commissioned, some traffic lights haven't been in operation for years now. And only those traffic junction where traffic lights were installed, I think they would have preferred if maybe they had to put maybe some roundabouts, because they haven't been in operation. They are not providing any service to the communities or to the motorists. And this is where we see a lot of congestion sometimes, especially on peak hours. So now we are appealing to the local authorities, institutions or agencies that are responsible to ensure that the traffic lights are functional. They have to move in and do so to rectify the problem, to ensure that all the traffic lights that are not working, please, we are appealing. We want to see the traffic lights to be functional, because that is actually going to help motorists and also to prevent road crashes.
You're still watching Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. When we return, we have sports and international news. Stay with us.
For immediate coverage of any breaking news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impassioned news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just...
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, is struggling with the inflationary pressure that results from Russia's war in Ukraine. Faced with soaring costs, many Nigerians are now buying basic products in small quantities to be consumed on the same day. In the streets of Lagos, Nigeria, economic capital, small sachets are now part of everyday life, where many Nigerians survive on less than $2 United States a day. In other news, 2 years have passed since the massive explosion killed more than 200 people in Beirut, Lebanon. An official investigation into the blast was paused in December, and the UN is now being asked to intervene. Families of those killed in the explosion are continuing to demand for justice. Here is a roundup of international news.
Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, is struggling with the inflationary pressure that results from Russia's war in Ukraine. Faced with soaring costs, many Nigerians are now buying basic products in small quantities to be consumed on the same day.
Not everybody have money to buy in bulk. You know, like this baby now. if you want to drink pure water, but you cannot have money to buy in bulk. You can only buy one and drink because this is too expensive.
In the streets of Lagos, Nigeria's economic capital, small sachets are now part of everyday life. Many Nigerians survive on less than $2 a day.
Before, if someone wants to buy like groundnut oil, they will buy the rubber own. But now, there is no money and things are very expensive. Before, the sachet own is cheaper than the other one. Now, people prefer to buy the sachet because they don't have money to buy a large quantity.
Critics see the new development as an economic and ecological aberration. The increased use of plastic sachets aggravates the environmental situation.
The impact of the circular economy means that we have more single-use plastics being put into the environment at a very, very alarming rate, causing a lot of concern for the ocean, for people and planet.
Nigeria has been hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic, which pushed up consumer prices 17% in 2021, forcing an additional 6 million Nigerians into poverty.
2022.
Graduation marks the start of a new journey for these students. But one seat is empty. This gown was supposed to be worn by Ilyas Al-Khouri. He was killed in the Beirut port explosion. He was at home. His classmates remember him as a great friend and an aspiring rapper.
In our case, it's not only the feeling of grief that kills you from the inside. There is another feeling of injustice that shatters you in every way. This injustice, it's because of the way our beloved ones were killed. There was no war, and it wasn't a terrorist attack.
It's been 2 years since a warehouse filled with ammonium nitrate exploded at the port of Beirut. The blast swept across the city, killing over 200 and injuring thousands. It devastated entire neighborhoods and displaced tens of thousands. Friends and family of the victims have hung pictures of their loved ones near the port area.
These pictures stand as a testimony to the scale of the disaster, but they are also a reminder that for the families of the victims, there can only be solace when justice is served.
2 years on, the investigation into the blast has completely stalled. Activists and relatives of the victims say the endless maneuvering is drowning out the chance for justice.
We've seen all the strategies and all the tools that the political forces have used in order to stop accountability in the blast investigation, but also in other crimes. We've seen the same strategies being used. What we have today is a society that is more aware of that impunity regime, that is more aware also of the need to break with this regime.
Meanwhile, shockwaves from the blast are still being felt. These wheat silos at the port are slowly crumbling. Some of the wheat inside couldn't be emptied after the explosion. It has fermented and has been igniting under the soaring sun. 2 years on, they cannot fully stand, nor have they fallen. They linger, as if awaiting closure.
An exposed road near the front line. Ukrainian trenches to one side. Then the carcass-like ruins of a newly liberated village. It's like stepping back a century into the desolation of World War I. A world of underground bunkers and unpredictable skies. This village is eerily empty. Only the dogs here and the soldiers. We're having to be very careful about what we film here so we don't give away the Ukrainian positions. They're very wary about their security after months under pretty much constant Russian bombardment, Russian drones overhead as well. But here, near the Black Sea coast, Ukraine is starting to claw back territory.
We go straight into sports news. United Party for National Development member Reverend Brian Walia has invited the Football Association of Zambia to take time and appreciate the talent that is in Malole constituency of Northern Province. Speaking when he received various sports equipment from the Center Network, Reverend Walia says many young people in the constituency are passionately embracing sports without any pay and has appealed to government to see how best the talent can be actualized. He says constituency has introduced the Okusefia Pangwena tournament, which will be held at the sideline of the Okusefia Pangwena traditional ceremony, and has called for more support from the general public.
Football that is spread in Malole constituency, very skilled people, very talented guys. But the things or the challenge which has made our people in Malole constituency not to be found in Zambia national team is lack of exposure. So I appeal even to FAS president that one day, let them just camp 1 week. And I promise they are going to harvest very talented young men and women. Imagine somebody praying for football without any pay. Imagine somebody going to the football ground, they play football, and they don't get anything. It takes only one person with a passion. And how I wish and how I pray that this new Dawn government, through our president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, I think the focus also can be shifted.
You approached us with a proposal that made us to nod our heads, because it was a good proposal to take development to Malole constituency. And we saw this to be a positive move. We also realized that there's positive energy from our new government, and we thought of taking part as well.
In the same vein, this tournament is coinciding with the Okusefia Pangwena, and equally dubbed the Okusefia Pangwena tournament. Our traditional ceremonies are very important. They are important platforms which should show the Ubuntu in us as Zambia.
Still in sports, the Russian court has sentenced U.S. basketball star BRITTNEY GRINER to 9 years in prison on drug charges. She was ordered to pay a fine of about £13.430. Ms. GRINER pleaded guilty to this. Let's look at it.
Was almost the toughest sentence that BRITTNEY GRINER could have got. The charge of drug smuggling was one that has a sentence of up to 10 years, and she got 9 years. We knew that she would be convicted because she had pled guilty. She said that she had brought those vape cartridges in, but she hadn't meant to do so. It was a mistake. She hadn't meant to break the law, but the court found that she had deliberately done so and said that she was guilty of drug smuggling. The reason she pled guilty was that she was hoping for a more lenient sentence. That obviously hasn't happened, and you could see how serious the expression was on her face as the judge spoke and she was listening to her interpreter, following every word, finally finding out what her fate would be. Now, it may not be that she will serve all of that time or even most of it, because the United States has put forward a proposal to the Russians to bring her back, presumably a prisoner swap, although that hasn't been confirmed. But we did get a statement from President Biden. He again repeated that she was wrongfully detained. He said this sentence was unacceptable. He said that Russia should release her immediately, and he said that his administration would continue to work as hard as it could to bring her and another American detained in Russia, Paul Whelan, home as soon as they could.
And Barbara, in terms of what the President has said in that statement we've seen, which you've referred to, is there much scope for that to happen? What's the capacity for the President to be able to do that?
Well, we know that there are serious negotiations about this. The State Department took the almost unprecedented step a couple of weeks ago of announcing publicly that it had made a substantial offer to the Russians and was waiting to hear back. And we know that the Russians are interested in a negotiation, according to Russian media, they're interested in bringing back, for example, a Russian arms dealer who's in prison in the United States. But we don't have any indication from the Russians about how quickly they might move on that. Or whether they're going to wait for a while and see if they can get more out of it. Mr. Blinken, the Secretary of State, made very clear that these talks were based entirely on a deal to bring the Griner and Mr. Whelan home, that they had nothing to do with the war on Ukraine. And so we'll see, though, if the Russians want to see whether they're wanting to get something more out of it, maybe trying to get some sanctions lifted, maybe trying to get more prisoners released. It's not clear if that is indeed their objective, but we're waiting now to see, now that the sentence has been given and the court has made its ruling, whether things will move quickly or whether the Russians will continue to wait.
Well, that's where we leave it for tonight. The headlines once again. Lusaka Magistrate Court forced to adjourn cases due to lack of transport. Zambia's unemployment levels a ticking time bomb. Harry KALABA commences process to register his political party. In international news, Nigerians struggle with basic needs. And in sports, U.S. basketball star BRITTNEY Griner jailed for 9 years by Russian court. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from Psalms 119, verse 130, and it reads, "The unfolding of your words gives light, it gives understanding to the simple." Thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good night.